It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Jeffrey Colon.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's another episode of Disruptive FM, number 21. Wow, we're really legal now. For the week ending Friday, the 28th of September, 2018. I'm Jeffrey Colon, your host and audio guide for the next quarter hour as we dive into the culture of business and check out what's happening in marketing, media, tech, and popular culture. Push the knob to 11.
Here are this week's trending topics. Gen Z replaces Gen Me.
I saw a stat today which makes so much sense on why Generation Z is the hot new band everyone is listening to on Spotify. They outpopulate all of the other generational segments. Gen Z is at 86 million and growing, dwarfing millennials at 77 million, Gen X at 53 million, and baby boomers at 73 million. If we had to use analogies for Gen Z, well, it goes like this. Boomers are the remote control generation. Generation X are the mouse generation. Millennials are the thumbs generation. And Gen Z, well, they're the voice generation. And yet while Gen Z is replacing Generation Me, which represents people who think as individuals instead of the collective community, brands are going to get it so wrong with this new population of power. But don't take our word for it. Let's listen to Gregg Witt, co-author of the newly released book, The Gen Z Frequency, on why brands are going to make a lot of mistakes with this generation moving forward. Gregg spoke to us earlier this week via Skype.
I think one of the things that brands are going to get wrong is that they miss focusing on cultural alignment. You know, at the end of the day, Gen Z is at this point, representing youth culture. And as they age up, we're talking about making a truly relevant connection to culture. What are they going to get wrong? I think right off the bat, it's getting it wrong, or it's just a vast underestimation of the sheer size and the growth and the impact of the demographic. This is one of those aspects that is a fact when it comes to generational marketing, that it just happens to be the largest population segment, right, of 26%, give or take, depending on the data source. But what I think that means is that the competitive nature that this young group of people is very hungry, and they have to compete more than anyone else, and just sheerly off of the size of their population, right? Survival. So it's going to be very competitive. I think one of the other interesting aspects of that question is that a lot of brands, when they're looking at Gen Z and where they might kind of potentially miss the mark, is assuming that the growth markets are in the US and in the EU, where the largest opportunities are truly in developing countries like Nigeria, Indonesia, Brazil, and of course in India and China. So that's an area that's, I think, kind of fact-based. It's interesting. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I mean, I don't know. I think one thing that people always get wrong, Jeffrey, I talk about this a lot, is that they're treating young people, Gen Z, like a herd of sheep. And I'll explain, like Gen Z, some new alien species. It's like Gen Y, millennials are like this. And I'm talking about the stereotypes of potentially just thinking that they're going to lump everybody into one big cohort. Or worse yet, I see this a lot, it's the Generation Z and millennials, how to reach them. And then becomes so many nuances where I think people just start getting it wrong. And not to go on a rant, but 8-second attention spans, traditional media won't reach them. They're not brand loyal. Social media is the only place to reach them. Getting it wrong would mean repeating the, in quotes, Gen Y syndrome all over again, where they're just assuming there's going to be a blanket approach to reach these people, and then really miss back to missing cultural alignment and finding those convergences of the groups within and really find a core.
That was Gregg Witt, co-author of the new book, The Gen Z Frequency. Pick up a copy now at an online or offline shop where all fine books are sold. Thanks again, Gregg.
Trending topics on DFM. Bet on Beto.
Plain and simple. Politicians moving forward will never get elected without a good social media strategy. Oh, and good policies. Oh, and some real authenticity. Beto O'Rourke could swing Texas blue as he currently runs for the Senate. But politics aside, what Beto is teaching us as communicators is something many still fail to not get. O'Rourke is a unifying force. He's charitable to his political opponents. He casts those who disagree with him in a generous light. He insists that despite those disagreements, we are united in our commitment to large ideals. He doesn't troll. He doesn't start flame wars. O'Rourke has been compared to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in his 1968 campaign, but he also has a large dose of Ronald Reagan from 1980. Like Kennedy in 1968, O'Rourke is a terrific listener. He has a unique capacity to diffuse tense situations and to guide tough conversations. As a campaigner, he has a sympathetic understanding of people with diverse points of view. He also drops many pop culture references in his speeches and does things like play air drums while waiting in a drive-through line to order Whataburger or skateboard on campaign stops. And none of it's fake. Beto was in a punk band, so of course he's going to drop references to the Clash's Clampdown when comparing himself to opponent Ted Cruz. What makes O'Rourke so unusual is his consistent rejection of we versus they politics. He likes to say, we're not running against anyone, any party, or anything. He stresses the importance of working with everyone, Republicans, independents, Democrats alike, to get the job done. He adds, we will not allow anyone to be taken for granted or written off. O'Rourke can also combine charity with toughness. In their recent debate, the candidates were asked to identify something they admired about their opponent. O'Rourke's response was gracious. I have no question that Senator Cruz wants to do the best for America, and he does so at great sacrifice to his family and to his kids. And ended, I thank you, Senator Cruz, for your public service. Cruz took a different approach. He told his opponent that you are absolutely sincere, like Bernie Sanders, that you believe in expanding government and higher taxes. O'Rourke's response to Cruz was understated, devastating, and also Reagan-esque, when he said, true to form. These are difficult and potentially even dangerous times for the United States. In Washington and in political campaigns, ugliness is being met with more ugliness. O'Rourke is the kind of politician the nation needs now, and for one reason above all, he is full of grace.
Trending topics on DFM. Music moods.
Researchers at Deezer have developed an AI system capable of associating certain songs with moods and intensities. The work is described in a newly published paper titled Music Mood Detection Based on Audio Lyrics with Deep Neural Nets. To determine a song's musical mood, the team considered both the audio signals and the lyrics. To start, they fed audio signals into a neural network along with models that reconstruct the linguistic context of words. Then to teach it how to determine the mood of a song, they used the Million Song Data Set, which is a collection of metadata for over 1 million contemporary songs. In particular, they used Last FM's data set, which assigns identifiers to tracks from over 500,000 unique tags. Many of these tags are mood related, and over 14,000 English words from these tags were given 2 scale ratings correlating to how negative or positive a word is, and also how calm or energetic a word is in order to train the system. The Million Song database just contains metadata for songs, not the songs themselves. So the team then paired all this information to Deezer's catalog using identifiers like song titles, artist names, and album titles. About 60% of the resulting data set of 18,000 tracks was used to train the artificial intelligence, with the rest used to validate and further test the system. This sort of work is seen as a way to further look into how music, lyrics, and mood correlate with one another. In the end, the researchers concluded that the AI was better able to detect how calm or energetic a song was better than more traditional approaches that did not use AI, and performed about the same when it came to detecting whether a song was positive or negative. Deezer could theoretically use this type of machine learning in the future to automatically sort and catalog music, not just with basic metadata like the artist's name or genre of music, but something more nuanced like mood.
It's Disruptive FM.
Communications.
The Business Culture Podcast.
They say if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of today.
Speaking of music, it's Disruptive FM, culture of business. I'm your host, Jeffrey Colon. In the background, that's new music from Carter. It's a track called Since You Left and the 9 Yards Edit from the Emotional Mindset EP. It's out now on Soul Deep Records. You can connect with us on Instagram or Twitter at Disruptive FM. Connect with me personally on Instagram or Twitter at DJGEOFFE. And Disruptive FM is brought to you by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. For more in-depth analysis, check out Microsoft.com/stories and BrandingStrategyInsider.com. Also brought to you by Iographer. Create better video. At Iographer, they make accessories for your mobile device to help you make professional videos. Learn more about all the products we use at DFM to make our videos at iographer.com. And next episode, we'll be giving away a few Iographers, so make sure you tune in.
And now, DFM presents... Do you even read, bro?
It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence.
Book reviews for disruptive minds.
There's a ton of books on branding, maybe too many, but a new one just released is really hot. It's called Join the Brand, and it's from author Nordy Cohen. Besides the fact it's a well-designed book, here's why you need to go read it. After answering the question, how and why do consumers adopt brands, author Cohen takes it to the next step with a new question. How does your brand become a sticker on a laptop? Using the latest research, Cohen digs deep into the psyche of brand fans to understand how they amplify brands and build long-term equity. Consumers participate in brands that make them look good, feel good, and keep them entertained. Brands who have used this formula and recruited a solid base can enlist them to do even more by establishing communities where consumers can fulfill their need to belong. This is essential reading for anyone tasked with building a brand, from chief marketing officers and developers to chief executive officers and PR reps, hung up on finding simplicity while navigating ambiguity in our evolving, yet complex, tribal creative economy. It's about that time to take a look at some simmering news items we have our eye on. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
Jurisdictions across the country are looking to implement laws that make workers' shifts more predictable. Lawmakers and advocates for retail and other frontline staff in cities like New York, Chicago, and Seattle say that erratic schedules, including last-minute scheduling, affect workers' well-being. Some studies suggest the schedules may even affect a company's bottom line.
Number 2.
Unions are calling for a probe into IKEA's labor policies in the United States, Ireland, and Portugal. The Uni Global Union and other groups claim management has been undermining workers' rights by preventing them from joining unions, and are asking the Dutch government to mediate. IKEA Group, which is based in the Netherlands, insists it respects and welcomes workers' free choice to seek representation.
Number 3.
More woke brands on Twitter. Steakum? Yeah, the meat company from Reading, Pennsylvania tweeted a few days ago a Twitter thread that sounded like an anthropology meets psychology report on the state of the world for young people as a result of technology, social media, and depression. And people really responded by positively endorsing the tweets. It's one thing for brands to really connect. It's another for them to really keep it real. And it's a whole other parallel universe for them to become thought leaders while trying to sell you cheesesteaks. All right, that will wrap up our 21st episode of DFM. Big thanks to guest Gregg Witt for joining us. Pick up his new book, The Gen Z Frequency. You can connect with us by following me on Twitter or Instagram at DJGEOFFE. Follow Disruptive FM on Twitter or Instagram at Disruptive FM. And you can read more in-depth content via our 3 sponsors, Microsoft.com/stories, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and iographer.com. Next week, I'm back in New York City for the 15th annual Advertising Week with Joanne Tombrakis, professor of digital marketing at New York University. She educates the future marketers of the world. Make sure to follow all the action at #AWNewYork. All right, for everyone here at DFM, thanks for checking us out. We appreciate your time. I'm Jeffrey Colon. We'll catch you next week.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Jeffrey Colon. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.